was pleased. Obviously, offense, I think we had 8 guys who scored touchdowns.
After another dominating win,
this experience, this process for me has been so cool.
The Fighting Irish hit the road to take on North Carolina State.
There's no overlooking here. I understand the challenge. We understand the challenge.
They're an air raid type of offense, so I think there's going to be a lot of opportunities for us to make plays.
Their first true test of the season.
Who's a hell of a football team and a big-time challenge for us on defense.
Whatever this week has for us, we'll be ready for it.
This is ABC57 Kickoff, presented by F-Dent Dental, with your hosts, Allison Hayes and Vahid Sadrazadeh.
You're taking a live look at Carter Finley Stadium in North Carolina, where the Irish will take on NC State in front of a sold-out crowd. The Irish have won 28 straight regular season games over ACC teams. Can they make it 29? We will see. Vahid, welcome to ABC 57 Kickoff as we count you down to the noon matchup right here on ABC 57. I'm Allison Hayes.
And I'm Vahid Sadrazadeh. It looks wet. Shades of 2016. Shades, not the full thing, but
yes,
shades.
Raleigh, that area there in North Carolina, that it just doesn't seem to have good luck. And it seems like every time Notre Dame plays NC State, rain is an issue.
We're going to dive right in to the ball game and we're getting you ready for the matchup. The undefeated Irish moved up 3 spots in the AP poll this week to number 10. In the coaches poll, they're ranked 11th. Notre Dame, of course, coming off another big win, beating Tennessee State in the home opener 56-3. For the first time since 1975, the Irish have not allowed a touchdown through the first 2 games. North Carolina State also comes into today's game undefeated after opening the season with a 24-14 road victory at UConn. The Wolfpack leaned on their defense and a strong debut from dual-threat quarterback Brennan Armstrong, who transferred from Virginia. And like Sam Hartman, he's in his 6th year of eligibility. The Irish are favored to get the win today, and last check it was 7.5 points. But this is the first true road game and test of the season and Notre Dame's first Power 5 opponent.
Yeah, that's right. The Wolfpack have also caused problems for Sam Hartman in the past when he was at Wake Forest. And the NC State defense uses a 3-3-5 alignment that can cause confusion before the snap. So what are the Irish saying about this matchup? ABC 57 Kickoff's Levon Whitaker talked with players and coaches this week and joins us now live from outside Carter Finley Stadium. Hey, Levon.
How's it going, guys? Listen, it's pretty bad out here. I mean, I know you guys have seen the weather conditions updates. It's been terrible. We actually just got a warning on our phones about the thundering, about the lightning out here in Raleigh outside of Carter Finley Stadium. It's been a mess out here so far. But when it comes to this matchup, you know how you were in grade school, right? You had a pre-test before the actual test. Well, that's what this schedule has been like so far for Notre Dame up until week 3 against NC State. Tennessee State and Navy were the pre-test, but here's the actual test against NC State here in week 3.
The 2 teams we played before were very talented as well, but I think it raises a bit of a challenge, been more of a challenge this week.
But Notre Dame defensive coordinator Al Golden is not buying into the pregame hype.
Yeah, I don't really get into all that. I mean, that's for you guys. For us, it's just, how do we have a great Tuesday?
One thing both Golden and the media can agree on, the priority today is stopping Brennan Armstrong.
Well, I mean, he's experienced, right? He plays with poise. He's got the arm talent to get the ball, to push the ball vertical.
But the Wolfpack quarterback is not a one-trick pony.
The quarterback special. He is a really good player, Brennan Armstrong.
Armstrong, a Virginia transfer, threw for 155 yards last week in their 24-14 win over UConn and rushed for 96 yards and 2 touchdowns.
To see, his growth in college and what he's done at Virginia and now at NC State.
Before transferring to NC State, Armstrong racked up 20 trips to the end zone in the run game.
He played really well. He scrambled well. He ran the ball really well.
Armstrong isn't the only concern. Sam Hartman is the only player in the Irish locker room that's played at NC State, but he doesn't have the best track record with 6 interceptions and 13 sacks.
We're not certainly playing dumb to the fact to know that he was in that league and he's played there. I get all that, and those things are real.
But Irish offensive coordinator Jared Parker says the past is the past.
We're just trying to prepare for our next opponent this week, who's a hell of a football team and a big-time challenge for us on defense, and we're trying to put our guys, including Sam, in the best position possible to have success this Saturday.
Well, listen, we all know that Sam Hartman is the key offensively for the Irish, but can the Notre Dame defense prevent a touchdown for the third straight week? That's what everybody wants to know. How much can Al Golden's defense be, and how much of a threat can Al Golden's defense be in his second year as the defensive coordinator? That's what we're going to wait to see against an experienced quarterback in NC State like Brennan Armstrong, the transfer out of Virginia.
Well, Levon, you've already taken your jacket off. You said your shoes got wet, so it's going to be wet there today and on the field as well.
I mean, I wish I can show you my shoes. I can't get my leg that high. It's going to be a long day out here on that turf with how much water. I walked across the turf earlier, about 30 minutes before the game, and I mean, just splashing along the way. That's what the run game is going to have to deal with. Audric Estime should be in tune for a great day in the run game for this Notre Dame offense.
Hey, we know you can kick your leg up high enough. We watched you do your step show for us last week on ABC57 Kickoff. You're not fooling anybody over there.
That's the adrenaline. That's the adrenaline, Allison. Don't worry about it. My legs are stiff right now. I had leg day a couple days ago.
All right. Well, you get stretched out. We're going to check back in with you in just a little bit. Thank you, Levon. Great job. Well, the only other team Sam Hartman has really struggled against when he was at Wake Forest was Clemson. Now, the Tigers just lost their season opener at Duke, shocking the world. The Irish face both teams, as well as Hartman's alma mater, later this season.
But today the focus is on NC State. Of course, Hartman has been on fire for the Irish through the first two games. 7 touchdowns, completing more than 82% of his passes. And Allison, when you look at the teams that he struggled against, Clemson and NC State, the stats aren't great, but I don't think that's going to show the entire picture today. The running game is going to be a big factor.
Excellent point. And if you look back on when he struggled against NC State, the Wake Forest team that he was on could not run the ball. Over those same games, one of them, they rushed for a grand total of 16 yards. Yeah, so right. You got to have that balance. You got to have that strong offensive line. He's going to have a much better chance at that today with Notre Dame's O-line and run game.
Well, and I'm guessing the wide receiver room is a little deeper at Notre Dame.
Exactly. Right now, Notre Dame has one of the best rushing attacks in the country with 412 yards on the ground. Half of that has come from Audric Estime, who's averaging more than 7 yards per carry. NC State struggled to defend the run in their season opener against UConn, allowing over 6 yards per carry and 2 touchdowns.
Audric Estime, no doubt about it. Listen, it all starts and ends with the offensive line and Audric Estime in that deep running back room.
And they are so deep, and you are going to see multiple guys getting touches, getting opportunities today. Will Audric Estime be the MVP of today's game? He got the game ball last week.
I think the biggest thing today is holding on to that football.
Yes.
You were there last time they were at NC State. When it's wet outside, you got to hold on to that rock. If Audric Estime can do that, I think Notre Dame has.
He does have a history.
I know he does. So we might
slipping out.
It does. On the flip side of the ball, right now, the Irish ranked 6th in the nation in total defense, allowing more than 162 yards per game. And through the first 2 games, the Notre Dame D held its opponents to just 110 passing yards. New NC State quarterback, you're going to hear this name a lot today, Brennan Armstrong, is a dual threat, but today may come down to the run defense. Last week in their season opener, Armstrong led the Wolfpack with 19 carries for 96 yards and 2 touchdowns. He is a dual threat. A lot of people are talking about him. He's number 5 there on your screen. They got to be able to contain him because the first couple of games Notre Dame had a problem adjusting to that running game.
Absolutely, and he is a left-handed quarterback as well, which also poses some different challenges. And just some numbers for you. He's averaging 6 point yards per carry. That is very good. So he definitely is going to be someone that they are focused on trying to slow down, contain.
We heard Marcus Freeman say in his press conference earlier this week, they're not going to put 4 guys on him, but they're going to watch him for sure. We're just getting started here on ABC57 Kickoff. I go one-on-one with former Notre Dame linebacker and North Carolina native Greer Marini. That's coming up next.
Plus, here's a sneak peek at what's to come throughout the show.
He's new to the Irish. But kicker Spencer Shrader is no stranger to Notre Dame Stadium.
There was like a sky cam that came around and the Notre Dame Irish song came on. I was just like, man, this is awesome.
Remembering the Hurricane Bowl.
Ended up so deep in water that I could barely breathe, through my nose. It was all the way up past my face mask.
While the game at NC State still haunts former Notre Dame quarterback DeShone Kizer. 57 Seconds with Mike Golic Jr.
It's been a while since I've gotten to go through standardized testing. I have somehow made myself ready for this moment.
Plus, Dad, Mike Sr., joins us live in the studio to break down today's matchup, what the Irish need to do to get a win on the road, and freestyle.
Oh, no. Jeez. Yeah. I thought we got rid of that picture.
Head coach Marcus Freeman weighs in on some of his hottest threads.
Well, it's been a soggy start to game day at North Carolina State. Look at those fans, not tailgating, they're undercover, getting ready to head into Carter Finley Stadium as Notre Dame, the 10th ranked Irish, take on the Wolfpack at noon right here on ABC 57. Welcome back to ABC 57 Kickoff. This is Notre Dame's first trip to NC State since that 2016 Hurricane Matthew game. I had the chance to catch up with former Notre Dame linebacker, captain, and North Carolina native Greer Marini, who played in that game. Greer is now a linebackers coach at Charlotte. The last time we spoke to Greer, his fiancée Laura was recovering after a near-deadly accident in Nashville 2 years ago. Thankfully, she's making incredible progress, and they're ready to start a new chapter.
That was a pretty traumatic experience, for mostly her, but also for me. And I just think that, we're at a point now where she's, healed all the physical stuff. Obviously, all the mental stuff is still a daily, process with her. But I think that she's in a really good place now. I think also moving to Charlotte, I was in Baton Rouge last year, a long ways away from her family, my family. So just originally being from Raleigh, North Carolina, and now being back in kind of the Carolinas has been really nice for us.
Awesome, man. We've been rooting for both of you guys and her recovery as well. And it's nice to see. Congratulations. You guys are getting married here pretty soon.
No doubt, man. Can't wait. It's been a long time coming, and, she started a new job, and she's working at a studio here in Charlotte and doing really great. And so I think all the things are kind of aligning. My career, her career, and also, it's about time we tie the knot. We've been dating for about 6 years now, so about that time.
Yeah, come on. No, yeah. That's awesome, man. Speaking of your career, things are going well. You're down in Charlotte now, the 49ers. You're the linebacker coach there. Tell me about that process. You were able to make a few minutes for me. I know you guys are on the road in Maryland this week, so thanks for doing that. But how's that been going?
It's been great, and I think that at the end of the day, you go from being a player then to a coach, but when you're a young coach, a GA, an analyst now, you're a grunt, you're doing a bunch of work, right? But to get really good at coaching, you have to do it, right? And you have to have the ownership over a room, start to create an identity, a culture that you want to see your linebackers playing with. And so I think that the biggest thing for me is having that opportunity to kind of, breathe my spirit into these guys and how I want it to be done. And I think just overall that ownership, that responsibility is going to be very good for me in my development as a coach.
When I say NC State, what kind of memories does that bring up?
Yeah, so for me, I mean, my house is 5 minutes away from NC State, so it was a homecoming game for me. Probably didn't go as we had planned or had wrote it up, right? But at the end of the day, what I think about is being super wet, right? It was the monsoon game, kept coming down the whole entire game. Obviously we didn't love the outcome, but it was something that I'll always remember just because, it's like playing in a big snow game. Not very many people get to say that they got to actually play through a live monsoon.
I mean, is that like really the main takeaway from that game is, it was really the weather that decided the outcome?
Yeah, and I think that, as we look to this weekend, right, there's, possible rain in the forecast, right? At the end of the day, what does the game become? Well, it's one up front then. It's a game of the trenches, because it eliminates a little bit of, you being able to dink and dunk, throw the ball down the field, right? And so you got to rely on those big guys up front and then, having good running backs that are going to tote the rock. And I think that from that standpoint, if it goes that way, Notre Dame's in a really good position to be dominant in this game, just because I think that they do have the guys up front and they have, the core group of running backs that can really do some damage.
Yeah, Audrey Estime, no doubt. He's been kind of getting the rock and pounding it through the first two games. What do you take away from this Notre Dame team here? I know you've been, Charlotte and every opponent that you guys faced this year so far, but from externally, what are you looking at with Notre Dame, and how are you feeling their team is faring so far with the big test this weekend?
Yeah, no, and I think that obviously you start off with Navy, Tennessee State and stuff, and those, not that those are light opponents, but that's kind of the warm-up. This is a good opponent, ACC opponent. You got a good defensive coordinator and Tony Gibson, right? That's going to do some different stuff. And so I think it's the true real first test of the season for the Irish. But just from what I've seen, right, just from a defensive perspective, the offense that Notre Dame has is that because they can run the ball, what does it do? It makes you load the box, right? But then who do you have at quarterback now? Well, you got Sam Hartman that can, pick you apart, understands coverage, has played a lot of really good football, has been super successful. And so there lies the issue, and I think that that's why Notre Dame's going to be as successful as they are this year. It's just because they're the total package, in my opinion, on offense.
From the beginning, your family has been nothing but, kind to us and ABC Kickoff throughout the years. And Cary, I know that's where you're from, North Carolina. So,
yeah.
Man, it's just been good to get in touch with you again, and wishing nothing but the best for you and Laura and your coaching opportunity there in Charlotte.
I really appreciate that. Go Irish, man.
Go Irish.
Yeah.
Greer loves talking about Notre Dame. He and his fiancée, Laura, will be tying the knot in April of 2024. His 49ers, look for them tonight, part of the American Conference with a huge game tonight for their program. Charlotte is playing at Maryland on national television at 7 p.m. I love Greer. He is a great guy, and I'm glad his fiancée is doing well.
You can tell why he was a captain here at
Absolutely.
Notre Dame, just listening to him talk and really taking advantage of every opportunity he's had. He started his coaching career at Vanderbilt, then moved to LSU, and now in a real coaching position, as you will, with Charlotte. So it's someone to keep an eye on for sure as he continues to move up the ranks.
And we're going to keep in touch with him as long as he wants to keep in touch with us. So
that's right. Now, the win isn't always on the scoreboard. Up next, how cornerback Jaden Mickey is teaching students to face any challenge that comes their way.
Plus, your game day forecast. Rain could be a factor again. The fan zone not exactly hopping this morning at North Carolina State.
Notre Dame heading to Raleigh to take on the North Carolina State Wolfpack. The last time these two played in Raleigh, of course, unforgettable, during Hurricane Matthew. And there won't be a hurricane this time around. I'll tell you that up front. But North Carolina not too far away from the last tropical system. That was Idalia that hit the Outer Banks, did some pretty significant damage back on August 31st. There is a hurricane out there right now. I'll step off so you can see it. It's Hurricane Lee, but on game day, it should be about 1,500 miles away from Raleigh, so nothing to worry about for Notre Dame as they head to Raleigh. There could be a few showers and thunderstorms by the time we get to the second half of the game, but we're looking like those could be a little bit more scattered than anything else. So hopefully the storms stay away from Carter Finley Stadium until we get to later on next week. For ABC 57 Kickoff, I'm meteorologist Dave Caulfield.
The 10th-ranked Irish looking to keep things rolling today, facing off against North Carolina State at noon right here on ABC 57. This is only the fourth meeting between Notre Dame and the Wolfpack. NC State leads the series 2-1. And check out the fans. They're trying to stay dry, but also get fired up. I like the chaps there, the black leather. I would fit right in with my outfit I'm wearing today, Levon and Vahid. Well, welcome back to ABC 57 Kickoff. Cornerback Jaden Mickey had a standout season for the Irish as a true freshman, finishing with 9 total tackles. And so far, through 2 games this year, he has 2 tackles, hoping to build on that. But Jaden can also add author to his list of accomplishments. He wrote a children's book, and I had the chance to talk about that experience with students at Mishawaka High School.
We were brainstorming ways I could impact the community, impact the people around me, and this is what we came up with.
Notre Dame cornerback Jaden Mickey shared his experience writing "The Win Isn't Always on the Scoreboard" with students in Mr. Ebright's freshman English class at Mishawaka High School. The story is loosely based on his own life as a middle school athlete who faces challenges like moving to a new school and the conflicts he faced with other students. The students in Mr. Ebright's class came up with questions to ask Mickey.
Webb asks, what was it like writing this book, and are there other ones that are in the works?
Everything from the writing process to regrets he's had. Mickey also shared his playbook for life, saying there are no failures, just lessons. Everyone matters. Instincts are everything, and you have a higher limit than you think. Mickey says he hopes his story, both in real life and in the book, will help inspire kids going through tough times.
I would say keep going, because I think every year life gets harder. So that's how it's been most of the time. Every year life gets harder. So when you're that age, you think it's the hardest, and then when you get older, you're like, wow, that was easy. So I would say just keep going and you'll be all right.
To have someone come in, especially someone as, with Jaden's accolades and experience too, and, the adversity that he's faced personally as well as on the football field, and come in and talk to my students about it. A number of kids can relate on one level or another with what Jaden experienced, and to not only see and hear what he went through, but also the outcome of that on the other side of it, I think gives my students, myself, and anyone that has the privilege of hearing Jaden's story hope and also courage to fight through and to keep moving forward.
It's funny because you see the kids in the class and they're all kind of, just quiet and looking down and not saying much. But before Jaden walked in, everybody's buzzing and they were all excited, and then I think they were a little bit nervous. So when he came in, then it was like real serious. But they definitely appreciated having him there. And Jaden says the book was also inspired by his mom, Nilka, and her battle with stage 4 colon cancer. A GoFundMe has been created to help her with her fight, and you can find that link on our website at abc57.com.
There's just, a lot of other exciting things going on in my life, in my family's life. The kids are getting older, the decisions change and the reasons why you do things change.
Well, former Notre Dame and NFL tight end Kyle Rudolph announced his retirement this week after more than a decade in the pros. Coming up, I talk one-on-one with the Irish legend about his next chapter.
Notre Dame getting ready to take on North Carolina State, a noon kickoff right here on ABC57. The Irish are ranked 10th in the Associated Press poll this week, 11th in the coaches poll. Notre Dame has yet to give up a touchdown this season, holding both Navy and Tennessee State to just 3 points. One of the most talented tight ends in Notre Dame history is hanging up his cleats.
That's right. Kyle Rudolph announced his retirement this week after 12 years in the NFL. Rudolph played for the Irish from 2008 to 2010, racking up more than 1,000 yards and 8 touchdowns. He was a second-round draft pick by the Minnesota Vikings. In 2011, a two-time Pro Bowler, Rudolph walks away with 482 career receptions, 4,773 yards, and 50 touchdowns. Rudolph is also known for his charitable work. He was a two-time finalist for the Walter Payton Man of the Year Award for his volunteer work and fundraising for children's hospitals. I had a chance to talk with Rudolph one-on-one this summer about his career and life after football.
There's just, a lot of other exciting things going on in my life, in my family's life. The kids are getting older, the decisions change and the reasons why you do things change.
If the opportunity presented itself and it was the right opportunity, you could potentially see yourself playing again, but if not, you're okay with that?
100%, and I'm not even sure if the perfect opportunity came, I would take it. I thought last year I was going to a perfect opportunity. I couldn't have handpicked a better opportunity for myself, and I think that was something that just gave me great perspective. In this league, in this industry, there's just so much unknown, and I thought I was going to play on an incredible team that had been there before, the best quarterback that ever played the game, and we were 8-9 and lost in the first round of the playoffs. So, for me to pick up my family and move the kids and say, oh, this is a great opportunity, you never really know. So I think that's kind of played into my decision.
You talked about some other opportunities that are presenting themselves to you, and I saw that you were jumping over to our side and doing a little media. What was that experience like, and do you see that as a possible career for you moving forward?
I got to do 2 games, obviously one of which was the Blue Gold game here on campus. A great opportunity for these guys to show their coaches everything that they've been working on this spring. It was a great experience for me. I had never been in the booth before. I had done studio stuff. And I wanted to give it a shot, and I enjoyed it. I felt like it allowed me to prepare as if I was playing still, and then I just went out on Saturday and I never got hit. I just got to talk about it, and my body felt a lot better Sunday morning than it does when I play in the game.
Did it give you maybe a different perspective, though, on what the media does? Because you've been always on this side of the camera, and to be in that other situation, how did that maybe change?
Well, I think, one thing for me, I think a lot of guys, a lot of players who try to use TV as a way to be around the game, still be relevant in the game, but don't think it's a lot of work, are proven wrong very quickly. Like I said, I prepared as if I was playing. So the game was on Saturday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. My prep was exactly like it was, and I spent the same amount of time preparing as if I was going to play. So I have always had a great respect for the work that goes into it and the job that has to be done. And for me, that was just something I really kind of learned throughout my time as a professional. We would see a lot of the same reporters on a daily basis, and they had jobs to do, they had stories to write, they had coverage to provide. So I've always had a great respect for that side of it. And for me, I felt like being in the booth would be an incredible opportunity, as if I'm sitting on the couch with my buddies watching a game and explaining it to them.
You've had an opportunity to see Sam Hart. Notre Dame is filling the shoes of Michael Mayer. Just what are some of your preliminary thoughts on Notre Dame this season?
Well, like I said, I got to study him a lot preparing for the spring game, and there's a lot of excitement when you have a guy like that under center. It gives you a chance to be one of the best teams in college football. And, you look around the rest of the roster, it's a roster that Marcus has built on the line of scrimmage, offense and defense align, the experience on defense coming back, skill players on offense. We're replacing Michael Mayer, something we talked about at great lengths during the broadcast of the spring game, but then you go out there and watch all of these young guys play really well and perform at a high level, and I think that's one of the best parts about Notre Dame. You always have guys that are kind of waiting in the wings, and they just need an opportunity.
Do you feel like Notre Dame has those pieces now in place where they could do something special this year?
I do. I have a lot of optimism, and it's more than just me being a former player and a fan. Like I said, I studied them really hard for a week, and then watching the game, watching the way Sam performed in his 3 drives, only having 2 incompletions. He had more touchdowns than incompletions. So that was extremely exciting. And like I said, when you have that guy, you always have a chance.
Now, Kyle will be calling some Big Ten games for Peacock this season. He's also co-hosting Fox Football Sunday for Fox Sports Radio. That starts tomorrow night from 8 to 11 o'clock.
Good for him.
Yeah.
While his time with Tampa Bay didn't pan out the way he would have liked, Kyle was the last different player to catch a touchdown from quarterback Tom Brady. The GOAT threw TD passes to 98 different receivers during his spectacular career.
Yeah, and that same touchdown was the 50th and final score of Kyle's 12-year NFL career.
When the 2023 schedule was first released, many viewed NC State as a trap game. Is that still the case now? We break down the Irish offense versus the Wolfpack D when we come back.
Your most improvement all year long is game 1 and game 2, because now all the cobwebs are broken. You're ready to roll now, and so I feel really good about how we've practiced this week.
This will be our first true road test. We expect to be a very hostile environment.
The fans are going to bring it. They're not going to like us, and we understand that there's a huge challenge.
We need Wolfpack Nation to set their alarms a little earlier. Get up early, maybe before you go to bed, have everything ready to go, get here on time so you can get your tailgate on. But we need you to be a part of this one, big time.
Don't forget, Irish fans travel really, really well, so you're going to see a contingent today. The Irish back on the road today, taking on North Carolina State at noon right here on ABC57. You're taking a live look at Carter Finley Stadium. Now that it's stopped, there's an Irish fan. Now that it's stopped pouring down rain, people are out and about. Kickoff about an hour and 25 minutes from now. Notre Dame's first true road test period of the season. Welcome back to ABC 57 Kickoff. I'm Vahid Sadrazadeh.
And I'm Allison Hayes. The Irish offense has been near perfect in the first 2 games, scoring 13 touchdowns and punting only once.
It's been a pretty balanced attack, 589 receiving and 412 rushing yards. The challenge for Notre Dame this week, NC State's 3-3-5 defense formation. Over the last 2 seasons, the Wolfpack have been one of the best run defenses in college football. And if Notre Dame is going to win today, Allison, the Irish need to establish the ground attack early.
Yeah, that's right. And the Notre Dame O-line needs to control the line of scrimmage and give Hartman time to throw the ball. That was the problem in all of his previous meetings against them.
This is going to be a very aggressive defense that's really good. They play fast, and what you realize is that they're clear on their assignments, because we always say, man, clarity equals velocity, and those guys play with a lot of velocity.
Sam's a great quarterback. The numbers show you that, and he's just calm. He has great pocket presence, knows the game. So I'm sure Sam is fired up to come back to North Carolina and play a old rivalry.
NC State has been somewhat of an Achilles heel. We've talked about that for QB Sam Hartman, but of course these are different teams, and Notre Dame's offense isn't really comparable to Wake Forest's slow mesh design. And I really never heard of that word before our producer Heather cued me in on what a slow mesh defense was, but now they play 3-3-5. It has shaken things up for Hartman over the years.
Yeah, for sure. But again, and we're going to talk about this throughout the show, but Hartman says, I don't want to continue talking about that. That's the past. Let's move forward. You have to imagine that Notre Dame's O-line and run game is going to give him a much better opportunity this time around against NC State. But is that in the back of his mind just a little bit? How could it not be?
How could it not be?
Well, the Irish looking to start the season 3-0 under second-year head coach Marcus Freeman. But NC State isn't an easy team to beat at home. We get the experts' take on this matchup next. Is Notre Dame primed for the upset? NC State has won 16 out of its last 17 games at Carter Finley Stadium, and the Wolfpack hasn't lost to a non-conference opponent at home in 10 years since Coach Dave Doran's first season. On the flip side, NC State is 1-5 against top 10 teams in Raleigh. Under Doran, it's a noon kickoff right here on ABC57. You see the fans, now the rain is letting up. They're starting to get ready for some tailgating and some partying. They better hurry it up, though.
Yeah, the game starts in an hour and 20 minutes.
That's right. Well, time now to ask the experts. We are joined now by one of our very favorites here on ABC57 Kickoff. It is Todd Burlage from Blue and Gold Illustrated. Todd, everyone is talking about Irish quarterback Sam Hartman, but I want you to start us off with Brennan Armstrong, that dual-threat quarterback from NC State.
Yeah, indeed. He is a dual-threat quarterback. He proved that in Game 1, obviously, with the 96 rushing yards and the 2 TDs, and a kind of a dicey 24-14 win over UConn, so that was a little tricky. Brennan Armstrong, what's interesting about him, he's a grad transfer who came from Virginia. 2 years ago at Virginia, he threw for 4,449 yards and 31 TDs, and that was under offensive coordinator Robert Anae. Okay, well, Robert Anae, that was only 11 games, actually, he did all that. Anae has now moved on to the offensive coordinator position at NC State, so it's kind of a reunion between he and Brennan Armstrong.
Have that comfort level there.
Yeah, so he's a dangerous quarterback. He's a dangerous player, and you do, like you said, dual threat is kind of what defines him.
Well, let's move to the other side of the ball. We haven't seen much from the defensive back on the Irish. Well, they haven't really been tested so far. You see the Wolfpack wide receivers. Tell us about that matchup And does it favor the Irish secondary? And if it's raining, if it's wet,
Right.
does that affect it as well?
I think it remains to be seen. Like you said, Notre Dame has not been tested in that capacity by Tennessee State or Navy, obviously, when you outscore two opponents 98-6. So I think it remains to be seen. I think that's one of the best storylines, the top storylines of the day, is controlling their wideouts. Certainly, I think the big one that you guys already talked about a little bit is just this home field advantage that NC State has.
Right,
16 of 17 is very impressive indeed, but I think that's a key storyline, Vahid.
All right.
Well, and so many people have talked about, oh, this should be an automatic W. Oh, it's going to be a tougher test, but Notre Dame's going to go in there. They're going to handle business like they have against those first two games of the season. What are your thoughts? Because you've got a different mindset for this one.
I just think it's a really tough opponent. I think I go right to their defense. It's a veteran defense. They return 6 starters. 11 of the 12 regulars that play on that defense that they rotate in and out are either juniors or seniors or graduates. So again, it's a veteran look. On top of that, they play a reckless style when it comes to rushing the passer. There's not a lot of discipline, which a lot of times sounds great for an offense, but when you're trying to break in two new guards like Notre Dame is on its offensive line, that's something else to watch.
That'll be interesting. Now, we love having you on for your expert opinion. It's great and all, but let's face it, the real reason that we like to have you on is because you always bring the creativity. You always do something fun. You flip the script on us. So what do you have for us today?
Just some multiple choice trivia. I have 5 quick questions. We'll run through them. It's pretty easy.
I'm ready.
It's
I love
not,
trivia.
It's not like building a ship in a bottle or anything like that. But we'll start with this. Which Notre Dame quarterback holds the single game record with 668 passing attempts?
Ooh, single game record.
Jimmy?
Allison, go ahead.
Are we chiming in on this together? We tag team
I'm trying to make this easy because I can give you multiple choice.
Honestly,
we can see the multiple
you got
choice.
it?
Jimmy
All right.
Clausen, Jack Cohn, or Brady Quinn. I'm going to say Jimmy. What do you think?
Yeah, I was going to go with Jack Cohn because he had a lot of big passing games, so I'm just going to go Jack Cohn. Oh!
Yep.
Jack!
Oklahoma
All
State
right.
in the Fiesta Bowl.
Okay.
Moving on, what Irish tailback holds the career record with 22 100-yard rushing games?
Audrey Denson, Alan Pinkett, or Vegas
I would
Ferguson?
say, Audrey Denson, right?
Let's see. 22 100-yard rushing games. Hey, it is.
Nice.
You're in a
2
roll,
for
buddy.
2. That's right.
Outstanding. Third one, what Irish quarterback holds the single game record with 526 passing yards?
I'm going to go B. What are you going with?
Whew. A or B. We have DeShone Kizer on as a guest today.
Yep.
Let's
Should
go
have asked
with
him.
it.
Oh, wow.
Joe
Joe Theismann.
Got to go ways back
Okay.
for that one. Couple more. What former Notre Dame safety easily holds the record for career tackles by an Irish defensive back?
Man,
I'm going to go C on this one.
Harrison Smith.
Yeah.
He's so good in the
Yeah.
NFL.
Easily, that's the key. So
Easily.
So you're supposed to get it.
I just say. Okay, Tom Zibikowski.
Oh.
There it is. Nice. There you go. You guys are kicking butt on this.
All right, we're 2 of 3?
Yep. Actually, 3 of 4.
3 of 4.
Last one. What Notre Dame wide receiver holds the record for most 100-yard receiving games?
Ooh.
I already cheated, so I know the
Oh, you
answer.
saw-
So
oh.
I can't.
I was going to go with Michael Floyd. Is that right?
That's right.
17
Nice.
100-yard receiving. He was so good for the
Yeah, he
Irish.
was.
He was.
Too bad his NFL career didn't pan out.
Yeah. Well, awesome. It's so fun. Thank you for coming on.
Sure,
with us.
thanks for
Tom
having
Hurley,
me.
Blue and Gold Illustrated. We love having you on. And you asked me if it was okay to wear shorts, and I was like, oh, yeah, we'll be behind
you,
the
yeah.
desk. Yeah, well, we can see your shorts.
Did he make his pick, or is he making it later? What? Do we know his pick for the game today?
You want to tell us who you...
I'd take an NC State 24-21.
boy.
I'm calling for the upset, so I better watch my way out in the parking lot here.
24-21 final score. That's an interesting prediction.
Yeah, we'll
a lot of
see.
Irish fans will be hoping you are wrong.
Exactly. That's what I said. I'm going to run. I'm going to hustle to my vehicle out back here.
Don't walk, run. No. Thanks so much, man.
All right.
Appreciate
it,
having you on.
guys. Thank you.
The Irish faithful fired up and ready to take on North Carolina State. We take you to the Notre Dame pep rally and catch up with the Leprechaun and former Irish defensive end and captain Kapron Lewis-Moore. The Irish faithful were packed in the Trolley Irish Pub in Raleigh last night for an outdoor tent pep rally. The weather held out for that, which was great. The Notre Dame Leprechaun cheerleaders fired up the crowd, and former defensive end Kapron Lewis-Moore also met with fans. The event, hosted by the Notre Dame Club of Eastern North Carolina. The alumni group even made custom Notre Dame versus NC State t-shirts for the weekend.
Well, ABC57's Kickoff's Levon Whitaker. Hello again. He's joining us live from Raleigh. Levon, you were out there at that pep rally last night and had a chance to catch up with Lewis-Moore, a former captain.
Yeah, well, speaking of those shirts that the Notre Dame alumni made, it says "Sack the Pack," and Kapron said, "Let me get my hands on one of those," because he finished his Notre Dame career with 180 tackles and 12 sacks from 2009 to 2012. Now, he was later drafted in 2013 by the Baltimore Ravens. He spent 6 years in the NFL, played on various teams, but also battled through some injuries. But yesterday, he pulled up to the Notre Dame pep rally fresh off the road from D.C. I got a chance to catch up with him, ask him what he thought about the pep rally and what he had to say to the Notre Dame faithful fans at that pep rally.
Basically, I was just like, Notre Dame, we're all over the world, and I just want to say, like, have everybody out here having a good time, and, we get a little rowdy sometimes, like to have fun, and, we're really supportive for our guys, so, just want to keep that energy up and everything.
Now, for anybody not understanding why we're sitting down, that's because I don't have as much height as Kapron does. That's the excuse. So, but Cap, you are a former player on this team. You played here from 2009 to 2012 with Notre Dame. Yep. Now, you were on that national runner-up team in 2012. You know a little bit about football, to say the least, right?
A little bit.
Now, this team has lost some defensive linemen, Isaiah Foskey, the Adamilola twins. As a fan, we look at this team and we say the defense has been great. The coaches say the defense has been great through 2 games against Navy and Tennessee State. But as a former player, a guy that knows the ins and out of a defensive line as a defensive unit, what do you see in this team and what do you like? Any guys stand out to you on this defensive team?
Ryan Mills stands out too, and there's a couple of guys. But looking as being a former D line, I kind of focus on the defensive line. But one thing that I learned from Coach Kelly and Coach Weiss, it's all about next man up. So you lose a bunch of, you're always going to lose guys, being seniors or guys going to the draft. But it's always developing these young guys, and I think Notre Dame, especially Marcus Freeman, has done a really good job about developing the guys that are next man up. So it's inevitable that somebody's going to get injured, but it's always, have that next man up and be ready.
In this matchup tomorrow, we obviously have a lot on the line with these two teams having played each other for some time now. What's your prediction on this game, bro? There's a lot going on with Sam Hartman being the quarterback, Brennan Armstrong coming over from Virginia, Marcus Freeman in year 2. What do you like about this matchup tomorrow?
What I like about this matchup, I think it's going to give us a good contest, and just kind of see where we're at. First road test. I mean, we played in Ireland, but I think it's going to get kind of the first kind of true road test of how we're going to be, and I want to see how we're going to be in a hostile environment. Obviously, I'm going Notre Dame. I'm always going to pick Notre Dame forever and always, but I'm really interested to see the matchup and see how our guys play against on the road right now.
Cap, you spent 6 years in the NFL. What's life like after football, playing for basically your whole life?
Yeah, so one thing about NFL that I've learned, life after football, is just, your whole year you've been working your whole life you've been identified as a football player. So now one of the hardest things about transitioning is, you got to find a new identity. You're not the football player, you're the ex-football player. You're, Kapron Lewis-Moore, former NFL player. So I had a little tough time, kind of figuring that identity. But now, I'm in medical device sales. I work with a company called Nuvasive. And we're in the spine sector, and I've been doing that for about 2.5 years, and I love it. It's a little challenging, it's a little different, but I definitely miss the football. But my body doesn't. My body feels a lot better now, so I'm proud of that right now.
Listen, Kapron was a great guy, very genuine, and immediately after he got off the road from D.C. off of 95, he immediately came into the Notre Dame tailgate and he started taking pictures, signing autographs, even kissed a couple of babies. He was a genuine guy, and fans absolutely loved him as if he was still playing today. I know they wish that he was, as he was a captain on that 2012 team. We also had some audio issues during that interview. So I'm going to give you Kapron's score prediction. He said the Irish would win, but he chose Notre Dame to beat NC State 31-14. That's saying something right there. I know that Brendan Armstrong's going to come out strong, but I didn't think that Cap would think that the Notre Dame would win by that much of a margin. It should be interesting. As he said, it'll be a great contest for you guys. Live in Raleigh, I'm Levon Whitaker, ABC57 News.
All right, thanks so much, Levon.
Coaching staff and the people that I talked to were so invested in us as people, as well as players, that it just felt like the right fit from the very beginning.
Welcome back, Shrader. Coming up, this may be a new kicker for the Irish, but Spencer Shrader's first year in an Irish uniform now, but he already knows what it's like to play in Notre Dame Stadium. Carter Finley Stadium has a new look for the new season. NC State Athletics made numerous upgrades during the offseason, including a new video board and sound system. Televisions were also installed in the concourse. The football field also has new turf and end zone pillars. Just to name a few, today's game against Notre Dame is sold out. We'll see how the drainage is on that new turf. Levon Whitaker there in Raleigh, he said he's been out there on that field right before our show started, and he was sloshing around in quite a bit of water there, so that could definitely have an effect.
Well, I saw it behind his shot, behind the stadium. You could see the dark clouds, so we're not sure if that weather is out of there quite yet. Welcome back to ABC 57 Kickoff. We're just an hour away from kickoff between Notre Dame and NC State right here on ABC 57. New Notre Dame kicker Spencer Shrader has scored 14 extra points in the two games for the Irish.
That's right. The South Florida transfer is still looking for his first field goal in a Notre Dame uniform. But while Shrader may be new on the roster this season, this isn't his first time playing at Notre Dame. New Notre Dame kicker Spencer Shrader had his pick of the litter when it came to choosing the school where he would finish his career. He started at the University of South Florida as a walk-on, but quickly commanded the starting job. He kicked 28 field goals for the Bulls. His junior season, he went 11 for 13 with a career-long field goal of 52 yards. And he never missed an extra point, going a perfect 95 for 95 in 4 seasons.
A veteran presence always helps, especially in our room. So when you have him and Milk, who have played a lot of games, one, it just brings a calmness to the room. And now we're looking for him to be able to perform in clutch situations. And so I think the fact that he's at a mental standpoint where he knows he can perform and execute regardless, first quarter or fourth quarter, it doesn't really matter. He just knows when it's time, he has a job to do.
But football is just one of Spencer's jobs, or interests, if you will. He was a broken ankle away from playing professional soccer in Brazil and started 3 businesses before he finished his undergraduate degree.
He's a unique, really unique, mature individual that is thinking about life beyond the game of football, and I think that's part of what attracted him to Notre Dame. He could have went to a lot of different places, but he understood this place.
Places like Alabama, Georgia, and Michigan, to name a few.
Yeah, that was a shocking experience because coming out of high school, I just walked on to USF. I didn't know anything about the recruiting process. So my Twitter was blowing up, my phone was blowing up with all of this information, these coaches reaching out.
Notre Dame provided him with more than just football. The 3 businesses he runs include Shrader Athletics. He handles the marketing and client outreach, while his sister Sophie is one of 3 trainers on staff. He also founded Copper Fox Technologies, a brand design, web development, and Salesforce company, and Liberty Villages, a Christian community providing resources for homeschooled students and families.
Notre Dame was the right fit because of the multifaceted approach that I had here. I had the unique business strategy with the networking opportunities and the connections. You're playing football at the highest level. And just the coaching staff and the people that I talked to were so invested in us as people as well as players that it just felt like the right fit from the very beginning.
While last week's game against Tennessee State was Spencer's first home game in an Irish uniform, he's actually sent one sailing on an opening kickoff in the house that Rockney built before.
Bounces at the 20, Tyree.
In 2020, Spencer booted the opening kickoff 49 yards for South Florida. That would be his only opportunity as the Irish routed the Bulls 52-0.
It was a tough loss for us at USF at the time, but it was such an awesome experience for me and my family. I remember being on the buses and rolling into campus and seeing the brick architecture in the stadium, and you just had this feeling of being in a historical place. It was kind of magical in a sense. And so I had a blast during that entire trip. Even though it didn't end with the result that we wanted at the time, I just grew as a person, and I loved the environment. I loved this place, and there was a sky cam that came around, and the Notre Dame Irish song came on. I was just like, man, this is awesome. And so I think, yeah, that probably put a little bit of seed in my head at the time that I could maybe end up here someday.
A full circle moment for sure. Spencer was homeschooled and played high school football in Florida, but he actually grew up in Indiana and has family in the Westfield area near Indianapolis. And Vahid, Spencer told me that his family was so supportive. They came to almost every single one of his games while he was at USF, and they were so excited when he made the decision to transfer to Notre Dame. He says there are a ton of Irish football fans in his family.
Well, and starting 3 businesses before he graduates, he'll fit right in to the Notre Dame community.
Absolutely.
2 helmet-to-helmet hits, 2 different calls. Up next, why one was ruled targeting and the other wasn't. Plus, what Coach Marcus Freeman had to say about these calls.
Sacrifice fire. Sacrifice. Unselfish sacrifice. We're going to get them on a run. We're going to go. And we aren't going to stop until we go to that goal line. We are Notre Dame.
Get on the bus. Next stop, Notre Dame Stadium.
From the house that Rackney built to the dynasty of Air Parsegian, this is the home of Fighting Irish football.
The place where greatness is earned 1 yard at a time. The field that forged Notre Dame legends like Theismann, Montana, and Brown.
The land of never quit, never surrender. The legacy, the passion, the tradition. That is Notre Dame football.
ABC57 Kickoff is back.
Bigger and better
Than ever.
Another season of Fighting Irish football. It all starts here.
This is our house. This is our team.
And this is ABC57 Kickoff.
You're watching ABC 57 Kickoff, presented by Afdent Dental, with your hosts, Allison Hayes and Vahid Sadrazadeh.
The countdown is on. Notre Dame taking on North Carolina State today on the road. The Wolfpack are tough to beat at home, but the 10th-ranked Irish are favored to come out on top. It's a noon kickoff right here on ABC 57. You see the fans are making their way into Carter Finley Stadium right now. Welcome back to ABC 57 Kickoff. I'm Allison Hayes.
And I'm Vahid Sadrazadeh. Both the Irish and the Wolfpack are undefeated. It's early into the season, heading into today's matchup. Notre Dame starting the season with 2 easy wins over Navy and Tennessee State. NC State on the road last week. They went to UConn and beat the Huskies in their opener.
That's right, but the Irish will be without a few players today. Taking a look at who is on the mend. Defensive lineman Gabe Rubio out for the second straight week. Rubio suffered a knee injury against Navy and had to have orthoscopic surgery. Coach Freeman expects him back in a couple of weeks.
And wide receiver Matt Salerno will be out for several weeks after suffering a low leg injury against Tennessee State.
And running back Devin Ford is also out. He's currently in concussion protocol and listed day to day. Well, Ford had to be helped off the field by Notre Dame medical staff and never returned to the game. The helmet-to-helmet hit wasn't flagged or even reviewed for targeting. Marcus Freeman told us it all has to do with how Ford was hit.
The explanation I got was it was with the forehead and not the crown of the head. And so those type of plays are, you know, I'm sure they're really hard to call as a referee. But we have to coach, hey, where's the strike zone? Don't launch, and then make sure you're not hitting with the crown of your head.
Take a look at this. Safety Antonio Carter was called for targeting here for this hit. The ref saying Carter led with the crown of his helmet, but since Carter was ejected at the end of the first half, he will be allowed to start today, which I think is big for the Notre Dame Fighting Irish. I am a little weary on these calls, and listen, I saw that in my viewfinder, and I automatically thought that first hit on Devin Ford was definitely a helmet-to-helmet play.
And the difference of here and here doesn't make much difference when Devin Ford's out with a concussion.
Absolutely.
So it's so subjective. It's something we're going to talk with Mike Golic about coming up in just a bit, but it's a frustrating call for fans and for players. It's so dangerous.
It is, no doubt about it. We're less than an hour away from kickoff between Notre Dame and NC State right here on ABC 57. The Irish favored today, but where should bettors put their money? And look at those dark clouds as fans head in to see the big matchup at noon today. Your forecast is coming up next. Stay with us.
The Irish on the road this week to take on North Carolina State in Raleigh. For game day, it should be warm and humid out there with temperatures around kickoff near 80 degrees with a mixture of sun and clouds. The humidity could lead to some showers and thunderstorms later on in the game, mainly in the second half. That's when storm chances really start to go up. Hopefully the storms stay away and it's not a bad weather day at Carter Finley Stadium in Raleigh. For ABC 57 Kickoff, I'm meteorologist Dave Caulfield.
I'm older, so we're closer in age. So it's kind of like a big brother-ish relationship, but also a head coach relationship when it needs to be, and it's something that I cherish and value a lot.
One of these days we'll figure out really how old Sam Hartman is. Talking about his relationship there with head coach Marcus Freeman. Hartman played NC State 3 times when he was at Wake Forest. The Wolfpack was one of the few opponents he struggled against, completing just 55% of his throws with 6 interceptions. And a reminder, he's thrown for 82% of his passes so far.
Incredible.
Completion rate this season. NC State has been dominant at home over the past couple of years, and the Irish are expecting a hostile crowd.
Their coach actually called for everybody. He's like, if you got to stay the night at the parking lot in the tailgates, do that. Set your alarms. Be ready to go. They want that crowd to be in their favor.
This is their game of the season.
That's right. But Notre Dame is favored to win. So where should you put your money? ABC 57's Levon Whitaker joining us again live, once again from Carter Finley Stadium to take us inside the lines. Hey, Levon.
Hey, how's it going, guys? Just before we get into that, the line is finally moving now. The gates were delayed to let people in because of the lightning that we experienced earlier between about 9 and 10 o'clock. So fans just now getting in for this game where Notre Dame has been the favorite for weeks now by 7.5 points last I checked from the Vegas odd makers. They also had the over-under at 50.5. That's recently moved down to 49.5, at least last I checked on FanDuel. But I want to know where you guys are going to put your money at. But to help you with that, I talked with betting expert Douglas Farmer from Covers.com.
I'm going to stay off the spread. I am looking at the total, 50.5, 51. I like the under there just because these two offenses both have showcased their run game so far. Coming into the season, the thought with Virginia was Brennan Armstrong's going to reunite with offensive coordinator Robert Anae, and they're going to put the air under the ball. Instead, against a questionable Connecticut defense, one that was terrible against the pass last year, North Carolina State ran heavy last week. Brandon Armstrong ran the ball 18 times. He dropped back to pass only 27. They needed the ground game to get by Connecticut last week. You add that with Notre Dame's running backs. You and I both know there's too many to list in a limited TV hit here. Notre Dame's going to lean into the run game again. Audric Estime is going to lead the way. And yes, Notre Dame will have more success running the ball than North Carolina State, just logically speaking, but not so much success as to threaten a total of 51. I like that under. That's my primary thought for this game.
Well, look, Doug got out to a bad start with me this season, okay, because I like this spread. I love Doug, but I love this spread a lot more. I took Notre Dame 7.5 points. In fact, guys, I love the spread. I love this game so much that I placed my bets on the plane before I took off from Chicago because betting is not allowed here in North Carolina, at least not on the mobile apps just yet. You can do it in the casinos at the retail stations, but not on the phone. So I had to get my bets in. I placed about 4 of them, to be honest. I'm not a degenerate, just happy about this game. I'm looking forward to it. I took Audric Estime 2 touchdowns. I also took Brennan Armstrong rushing yards. It was at 30 last I checked. And I also took Audric Estime rushing yards. It was at 84, and I took it, I think it's at 79.5 last I checked.
Well, you know, Levi, the ongoing joke around the newsroom here is whatever you're picking, people are following you and doing what you're doing, and they're winning money. So, I mean, hey, we're not advocating for that, but we're just saying, you know, you've been on a pretty good streak so far to start the season.
You know, I'm starting to issue a 30% fee on all winning bets if you place my bets. That's the deal I'm making with everybody around the office. So if you use those bets, Audric Estime is what I'm riding with. Again, I mentioned earlier how the rain, the field is so wet due to the rain. Audric Estime is in tune for a big game. I believe it. I got him at 2+ touchdowns. And again, Brendan Armstrong, a dual-threat quarterback. 30 yards should be no problem.
Well, give us the friends and family discount on that fee if you could. Before you go, Levon, just a little bit about the weather behind you. Is that moving into the stadium or is that moving out?
I think that's moving away. Actually, it came from like what they call the west side of the stadium, so it's actually moving back the other way. Now, I'm not trying to take Dave's position here at all. I'm just doing what I see with it's the eye test. That's all I got for you. So, yeah, the clouds are definitely moving away. Thank goodness.
All right, well, stay dry out there, Levon, and we'll talk to you in a little bit. There is some rain in the forecast today, though. It's nothing like the last time Notre Dame played at North Carolina State.
That's right, and former Notre Dame quarterback DeShone Kizer, he joins us to look back at the famous Hurricane game, why it still gives him nightmares next.
Ended up so deep in water that I could barely breathe, through my nose. It was all the way up past my face mask.
A rematch of the Hurricane game. Today is the fourth meeting between the Irish and the Wolfpack. The last time Notre Dame played at NC State in 2016, it was in the middle of Hurricane Matthew. The Irish lost that game 10-3. Notre Dame's certainly hoping for a better outcome today. Well, joining me now, former Notre Dame quarterback DeShone Kizer. Thank you so much for joining us. 47 passing and 18 rushing touchdowns in an Irish uniform. It is so great to have the chance to talk with you again.
Thank you for having me. I'm excited to be on.
Awesome. Well, first and foremost, let's get right to it. Notre Dame playing NC State for the first time since that Hurricane game back in 2016. Of course, you were the quarterback in that torrential downpour. Both teams struggled to score on offense, and the Irish ended up losing 10-3. What comes to mind when you think back on that game?
I mean, first off, I find it to be absolutely kind of ridiculous that we ended up playing that game. We ended up outside. I have vivid memories of trying to get a first down on a long 3rd and 8 going towards the NC State sideline, and ended up so deep in water that I could barely breathe, through my nose. It was all the way up past my face mask. I think that if we play that team 100 times, I think the only time we lose is when a hurricane shows up to their stadium.
That had to be so frustrating. I was at that game, and I admit I was nice and dry. I was in the press box, but I remember walking to the post-game press conference and almost getting knocked over multiple times by the Hurricane Matthew wind gusts. You had to throw the ball 26 times in that game. Weather could play a factor again. How challenging is that for a quarterback? And were you like, why aren't we running the ball?
You know, at the time, I mean, that was our offense. You know, a part of our offense was to drop back and pass with the opportunity for me to find a lane and take off. So at the time, I didn't necessarily, feel 26, passes and those types of conditions. But now looking back on it, obviously that's pretty difficult. As we think about this season and current quarterback play. You have a guy, Sam, who's had plenty of opportunities to grow up in weather or playing football in weather conditions like this. Similar to myself, being from Toledo, there's plenty of opportunities for me to make the proper adjustments to continue to go out and play good ball. So I still expect great quarterback play no matter what the conditions are, and I can almost say with certain that it won't be as near as difficult as it was to play Hurricane Matthew.
What are those adjustments that you make as a quarterback when you're dealing with wind and the rain and the ball's wet, all of that?
Yeah, I say this with a little bit of caution because I don't know if many other quarterbacks do it, but for me, I already have a pretty big hand in terms of holding the football, but I found in wet games or in colder and snow games, I would just slide the ball just a little bit further down my hand so I can grab a little smaller part of the ball. That gave me a little more control. Now, I wasn't doing too many great spirals, but I think that the best part about playing in tough conditions is, hey, there's no expectation. You get to go out there and have fun. If you throw a good pass and you get a good completion, everyone cheers. If you don't, then heck, you got the wind and the water to blame.
Yeah, never bad to have something to blame it on, right? Well, you touched on Sam. Today's matchup features two good quarterbacks in Sam Hartman and the new NC State QB, Brennan Armstrong. Who do you give the edge to and why?
Give the edge to Sam. Obviously, a bit biased, obviously, now that he's wearing that golden helmet. But, just as far back as I remember Sam out there, his composure is always at an all-time high. So when you think about, who you want leading your team in a tough game like this, NC State with historically a great defense and a great culture, and, they play hard, they play fast. There's only a couple types of guys out there who have the opportunity to, get a little bit further past the toughness of the game, and I got a lot of confidence in Sam. He clearly went out in weeks 1 and week 2 and showed the composure that we've seen throughout his entire career. And now with defense is playing as good as our defense is playing, I think that he's going to be able to edge him out.
Well, and Hartman does have some history with the Wolfpack. In 3 games against NC State, they have sacked him 13 times and picked him off 6 times. I know those were different teams, but what is the mental effect that history like that can have on a quarterback, and how does someone overcome that?
Yeah, I think that the only way to put it is that there was no Harry Heastand coaching up guys and giving that competitive edge that the offensive line has always had. So I think that's a completely different team. I think as a quarterback, he's probably that's not on his mind at all. Obviously, I think that the only thing that he has here is an advantage with the opportunity to go against those guys a few times before. But with the offensive line he has now, I don't think there's going to be any extra pressure that's around him. And he'll be able to sit back and continue to do what he does best.
Thank you so much, DeShone. We really appreciate it. And the next time that you are back and you're on campus, we'd love to have you come join us in person. That would be so much fun. But stick around. We still have much more to come here on ABC57 Kickoff. The legend, Mike Golic, joins me live, and Junior is at it again. He takes Dad's golf cart for a ride. We'll have that and more after the break. Well, here come the Irish. You're taking a live look from Raleigh, North Carolina, where 10th-ranked Notre Dame is getting ready to take on NC State, the first Power 5 opponent the Irish will face this season. Notre Dame looking to make it 29 straight regular season wins over an ACC team. Welcome back to ABC 57 Kickoff as we count you down to Notre Dame versus North Carolina State. When Mike Golic Jr. shows up for an interview, driving his dad's cherished golf cart, you milk it for all it's worth, right?
ABC 57's Jenna Stopczynski breaks out the stopwatch. Set your timers to ask the tough questions in this week's version of Junior in a golf cart.
How many questions can you answer in 57 seconds?
Great number.
All right, and here we go. What's your favorite football movie?
Rudy.
Cornhole or bags?
Cornhole.
Favorite game day food?
Ooh, favorite game day food? Pasta.
Favorite place to watch a game?
My couch.
Game day hype song?
Ooh, we'll go I Knew You Were Trouble by Taylor Swift.
Cats or dogs?
Dogs.
Go-to karaoke song?
Go-to karaoke song, we'll go Everybody by the Backstreet Boys.
Last show you binged?
Last show I've been Shoresy.
Favorite restaurant in South Bend?
Rocco's.
Favorite spot on campus?
The Grotto.
Favorite ND legend?
Jeff Fain.
Have you been to Ireland?
Yes.
Favorite form of potato?
French fry.
Wine or whiskey?
Wine.
ND or Navy?
ND.
So let's see, you got 15.
Wow, all right.
That's pretty good.
Feel pretty good about that. It's been a while since I've gotten to go through standardized testing. I have somehow made myself ready for this moment. Plus, talking is a lot easier than getting hit by.
Yeah, Senior, you seem disappointed there when he didn't mention your name as an ND legend.
How is that even possible? Favorite Irish, it should have been flowing out of his mouth. I mean, the sentence should have ended, and it should have been flowing right out of his mouth. My father, who I idolize more than anything in this earth. Never heard that coming out of his mouth. Where was that, son? Get out of my golf cart.
The legendary Mike Golic right now joining us once again. Junior, stealing that golf cart while you're away. I love it because I texted you, the two of you, about this. Like, hey, he's coming for us. And your response was, he's a loser. I love the relationship you guys have with each other. And I love that you guys are actually getting to work together again.
Yeah, that was something I had, after leaving ESPN, I wasn't sure I was going to ever go back to the daily work grind again. And when the opportunity came, we were both working at DraftKings doing a sports show. And when the thought process was, hey, maybe we can work together every day in the morning like we did in the past, I couldn't turn that down. As much as I rip the kid, we have fun with each other. There has been no greater joy in the working part of my life than to be able to work with one of my kids. So the chance to do that for 2 hours every morning, that will be my curtain call whenever it ends. Once I'm done with him, that'll pretty much be it for every day. I'll still call games and all that, but we got a few years. I got a few years left in me.
Well, good. That is music to our ears. So, well, let's talk about the game today. A real test for the Irish here. They're looking to go 3-0 on the season, and it kind of seems like they're uncharted territory with Marcus Freeman here. Ohio State, Clemson showed weakness. Do you guys change your pick here? Is more than one loss on this season going to be a disappointment for the Irish?
Well, I had said going into the year, two losses tops. I thought 10-2, heck of a bowl. 11-1, get you a great shot for the playoffs without question.
Right.
You figure those 3 games, they may fall one time. That's why I'm going 11-1. 12-0, obviously, you're guaranteed a spot in the title. There's not going to be 4 undefeated teams for the playoffs. But 11 wins, that's what I said right from the beginning. 10 or 11 wins, I think, is easily the acceptable number, and I think that's where they'll be.
Who do you think they're going to fall to this season?
I mean, listen, I go in thinking you're going to win every single game, so you're going to be 12-0. But SC, what they're doing, you got Caleb Williams and what he did to us last year. And Ohio State, the issue there certainly is the new quarterback, which a lot of the top teams have are new quarterbacks right now, breaking them in. But he's going to get a few games under his belt, the Ohio State quarterback, to come into here and see what happens. Clemson certainly did not look good against Duke, but I'm not going to sit there and put them away and say no worries there. But I would say if it's going to be one, it's going to be Ohio State or USC. But let's say none, and let's say 12-0.
All right. Okay, I like that. Now, on paper, the Notre Dame defense has looked solid.
Yeah.
2 performances, not allowing any touchdowns and giving up just the 2 field goals in the first 2 games, but they have given up some chunk yardage, especially in the first half of those games. Now, I know a 14-yard gain by Tennessee State could be an 80-yard touchdown run by USC. So am I overthinking this, and where do you think Irish defense needs improving?
The one thing Notre Dame has done in the past, we all see it, this isn't talking out of school of rocket science, we've played down to our opponents. Right, and we've seen them gain yards. So when you saw Tennessee State in that first drive gaining yards, you're like, oh my gosh, no, let's not start doing this again. We've done it, and not just in Marcus's 2 years before that as well. That unfortunately had been kind of a thing we'd seen with these teams is playing down. But then they got their legs under them and just did exactly what they were supposed to. That's been the impressive thing is people are going to say it's just Navy and Tennessee State. But that's who's on the schedule, and you have to drill those teams. You have to blow them out. And that's exactly what Notre Dame did. This one will be a little different. This is more of a realistic look at some better competition, especially the run defense for Notre Dame in this one. North Carolina State is going to run the ball. Last week against UConn, it was Brennan Armstrong. Their quarterback was also the leading rusher. They ran it 40 sometimes. He only passed it 26 times. They're going to try and run, and if the quarterback runs, that gives you an extra blocker. So pressure on, obviously, linebackers, D-line, the front 7. Safety's coming up, who's going to play in the box as well. But right now, the defense looks like it should. You have the top 5 tacklers, 3 linebackers, and 2 D linemen. So that's kind of how the breakup is. Next should be a safety in there as well. But if they want to try and go wide, your corners, have to play up and play tough and then not get beat over the top if they go play action. But that's, I think, how North Carolina State is going to want to make their bones is run. So run defense for the Irish is going to be important.
All right, before we go, we want to ask you about Deion Sanders. Yeah. Okay, he comes out firing on all cylinders. He talks the talk, and now he walks the walk. What do you think about Deion starting Colorado?
So this is my thought on Deion, and he's using that as a chip in his shoulder, right? Nobody believes, nobody believes, nobody believes. And that's fine, because that's for the players, the 18 to 22-year-olds. But I think we have to understand, Deion's one of the greatest football players of all time. He coached high school and then Jackson State. And he did great, don't get me wrong, but for anybody to think he's now jumping to a Power 5 school, which was one of the worst in the country last year, and we're going to automatically say, oh, yeah, they're destined for absolute stardom right out of the gate. Come on. But you know what? He showed and he proved, and the main point was the players bought in. Because he even said some of the players weren't even buying in because it was all talk at that point. But then they saw the practical application on the field, and it worked. Right. So now the players buy it, and that's all that matters. All that talk about, the reporters, I saw what you write, I'm keeping receipts, blah, blah, blah. That's for his players to hear, but that's prime, though. That's him doing his thing. All I got to say is about 5 or 6 years ago, I coached against him in the Under Armour All-American game. I was the head coach, he was the head coach, and I won. So I'm 1-0 against you. So where's my college football coaching office?
Well,
you're keeping receipts.
You're
keeping receipts. But what he's doing is incredible, and they'll be tested, obviously, Nebraska today, Oregon, USC back-to-back in a few weeks. But he's got those guys believing, and that's the most important thing.
He's going to be fun to watch.
He is.
People love him or hate him.
Absolutely.
He backs it up.
You watch him either way,
exactly.
right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Everybody's keeping receipts these days.
Yeah, they are.
Golic, thanks so much. We're about 30 minutes from kickoff between Notre Dame and North Carolina State right here on ABC 57. There's still a lot of fun to be had here. Here's what's coming up in the final half hour of our show.
Hunted by the Wolfpack.
Their linebacker core is always one of the best in the nation. D-line's always going to be strong. Their secondary's got some dudes.
And he's got style.
When he said, I have a green suit for you, I'm like, there's no way I'm wearing a green suit.
We have some fun with Irish head coach Marcus Freeman, what he really thinks about some of his most famous looks.
with the same rich tradition of the Irish.
Wake up the echoes cheering her name.
Send the volley cheer on high.
Shake down the thunder from the sky.
What though the odds be great or small? Old Notre Dame will win overall.
While her loyal sons and daughters
march on to victory.
It's Tim Brown, Heisman Trophy winner, and you're watching ABC 57 Kickoff.
You're watching ABC 57 Kickoff, presented by Afdent Dental, with your hosts, Allison Hayes and Vahid Sadrazadeh.
Well, the first true road game of the season against a team that's given the Irish problems in the past, no doubt. It will be a hostile environment at NC State today. Notre Dame hasn't allowed a touchdown yet this season, but they've never scored a touchdown at Carter Finley Stadium either. And you see the fans just now making their way in. That lightning delay didn't allow fans to get in till about an hour before kickoff. So it's not going to be probably fully packed quite at the beginning of the game.
It will not be. Welcome back to our final half hour of ABC 57 Kickoff. I'm Vahid Sadrazadeh.
That's right, and I'm Allison Hayes. Today, the Irish will try and overcome the problems of the past to make it 29 straight regular season wins against ACC opponents.
Marcus Freeman, head coach Marcus Freeman, shows us why the Irish defense will be key in this week's Freeman's Focus.
2 games into this young season, and it's fair to say that we're still figuring out who this 2023 Notre Dame football team truly is.
I don't want to say that the wins over Navy and Tennessee State don't mean they do. More than the wins, it's looking at us.
Scoring 96 total points on offense against Tennessee State and Navy, while only giving up 6 points on defense.
It took a while, that first quarter of going against Tennessee State of having the Navy defense hangover.
Not a major concern yet. Defense, though, still top of mind for head coach Marcus Freeman.
We can't be out of control and end up behind the quarterback and give him those lanes to escape from. But we're going to have to keep him in the pocket, right? And it's something we didn't do a great job with at Tennessee State. He got out of the pocket a couple of times, both quarterbacks. And so we got to do a better job there.
He knows that slow starts like they had in the first 2 games could be troublesome as they take on Power 5 teams.
Making sure from the very start of the game is we eliminate the missed assignments. We can't do that.
And although Freeman doesn't have experience coaching against North Carolina State, his quarterback certainly has experience playing them.
I've always said there's no substitution for experience, and his experience, no matter good or bad, playing at NC State or playing against this defense will be valuable this week.
From tune-ups to a true test, North Carolina State will give Notre Dame all it can handle in Raleigh. Although we may not get the whole picture as to who this Fighting Irish team is after Saturday, we'll still get a glimpse as to the makeup of Marcus Freeman's group.
This will be our first true road test. We expect to be a very hostile environment.
Well, a return to Tobacco Road. This is the 4th straight season Hartman will face the Wolfpack, and for the Irish gunslinger, a shot at redemption.
For more on that, let's check back in with ABC 57's Kickoff's Levon Whitaker live for the final time at Carter Finley Stadium. Before you head into the stadium, Levon, it is dark, my friend. Behind you, that sky is not looking too good.
Yeah, it's definitely not pretty behind me. I make it look good, but I'm by standing in front of it. On the other side of this camera, though, is pure sunshine, and the fans are starting to settle in at Carter Finley Stadium as Notre Dame faces a team that finally poses a threat to them this season in Week 3. NC State has been known to give Sam Hartman some issues in the past during his 5 years at Wake Forest, but today, Hartman, number 10, walking into Carter Finley Stadium in the blue and gold with his new team into familiar territory. Sam Hartman was the most highly recruited quarterback in the transfer portal after his 5 years at Wake Forest. For Notre Dame, he was the priority.
I wanted to get the ball in Sam Hartman's hands.
Freeman and the Irish faithful impressed by the 24-year-old's numbers with the Demon Deacons.
110 touchdowns, more than 13,000 yards. But when it came to NC State,
I don't know what happened when he was at Wake Forest, but I bet you he'll probably look at it.
In his first trip back to Carter Finley Stadium, Hartman would rather not take a trip down memory lane.
NC State, there's no overlooking here. I understand the challenge. We understand the challenge.
In 3 previous starts against the Wolfpack, Hartman threw 6 touchdowns, but he also threw 6 interceptions and was sacked 13 times. It's almost like NC State had his number.
Very hostile environment. You know, their fans are going to bring it. They're not going to like us.
But a rowdy crowd and even past mistakes don't outweigh Hartman's veteran leadership.
You know, the thing about Sam is the ability for him to come over to me and say, I'm good. You know, he made some maybe an error or two. Hey, a bad read. And he looked at me and was like, I'm good.
He is indeed good. NC State head coach Dave Doran knows exactly what Hartman is capable of.
Notre Dame has an exceptional quarterback that we know a lot about with Sam Hartman. He's playing really good, not a surprise.
It's safe to say what he did in the black and gold won't matter when he takes the field in the blue and gold.
As far as looking about what he did in that offense against them, it really just doesn't apply.
How you defended him in Wake's offense is different than how you defend him in this one because of the run game, the play action game, the things that are unique about Notre Dame's system. And Wake's system was completely different. But we do know from experience what kind of player he is. And there's a great amount of respect, you know, from our staff towards that young man.
That's some high praise from an opposing team's head coach. He's aware of what Hartman is capable of in this new offense. Hartman taking the snaps from under center after taking the snaps from the shotgun position for about 5 years during his time at Wake Forest. Listen, I'm ready to get inside this game, guys. I got the wolf howling out here. The sound effects are in full effect, and fans are kind of getting turned up just from hearing that howling going on. But they're going to see the leprechaun running across here. I'm not sure if he stands much of a chance against the wolf, but hopefully the team will do it for him.
Well, you have fun in there, Levon, and bring home an Irish W for us, would you?
I can do my best. You know, they asked me to suit up. I got a better chance at bringing that W home, but we'll see what they ask of me throughout 60 minutes of play.
All right, thanks, Levon.
All right, thank you. If there's one thing we know about Coach Freeman, he's got style.
Now we have some fun with the Irish head coach coming up. What does he think of some of his hottest looks? We'll be right back.
The second question is, man, if you don't need that sport coat Saturday night, I would like to wear that.
It'll fit with that shirt you have on, man. Looks good. Looks good.
Well, let's face it, Marcus Freeman has style, and it's definitely a topic of conversation around the college football world, whether you're a casual or diehard fan.
Yeah, his suit game is strong, and this summer I read an article written by Lauren Dangle for One Foot Down called Freeman's Freshest Fits. I love her writing style, and I thought it would be really cool to have a chance to talk with Coach Marcus Freeman and get his thoughts on some of those looks. It's a segment we're calling Freestyle. This is my personal favorite. This is one where I was like, ooh, he's got some style. You were at the NFL draft in Vegas in that all green suit.
Yep.
Who picks out the suit for you? You pick it out yourself?
No, that was Go Wayne. He gave me, he's the one that got that suit for me. And when he said I have a green suit for you, I'm like, there's no way I'm wearing a green suit. And but I ended up doing it, and I thought it looked pretty good. It does. I like that. I like it.
This one is taking it way back.
Oh, no. Jeez. Yeah. I thought we got rid of that picture. That's back in college. That's in college. I was a lot bigger then and had less hair. And, geez, that was like the shirt. I think that was like an Ed Hardy shirt, but that was where everybody used to wear like Affliction and these tight T-shirts. And, yeah, that takes me way back to college days.
Kind of moved on since then.
Yeah. My wife definitely didn't pick out that shirt. I'll tell you that right now.
I love it. Now, this will tie into Under Armour and the announcement of the all-green uniforms. Your green head to toe.
Yeah. You know, that was the Irish wear green. That was the Under Armour video that we were showing for the green jersey. So I thought I had to represent a little bit of green that day, and you know, what better way to do it? And I think I had green shoes on that day too, you know.
This one is special.
Oh yeah, that's a black tie event. That's the first time I think I've worn a tux. I don't know if I've ever wore a tux. First time I had a bow tie. Katie Lonergan, she actually, who works in our office, she had to tie my tie because I've never tied a bow tie, and I think she did a pretty good job. And my mom was wearing, obviously, I can't remember the name of it, her Korean dress, but it's a special name. And then those two people in the middle are pretty famous. Obviously, Angelina Jolie and her son. That was just that picture brings up a lot of memories. Just a wonderful night. My first time being inside the White House, and then I got a picture with Angelina Jolie, so that's an added benefit.
And how special to have your mom at that event with you.
Yeah, I wouldn't have been there without her. I threw her under the table when I got a chance to meet Angelina Jolie. I said, Angelina, my mom's been dying to meet you, and it was actually, you know, it was probably me, my idea. It probably was my idea. It was my idea.
Do what you got to do.
That's right.
And then this one.
That's February 10th, 2010, when I got married, and my wife looks amazing. I look pretty big. I was bigger, a lot bigger back then, but that's funny. That's the start of, we were together, so we've been together since 2005, got married in 2010, and you know, sometimes you look at that and realize that it's a partnership forever, right? And just like being a head football coach at Notre Dame, there's bumpy roads, but it always leads to better, and that's my partner, my better half.
You've come a long way.
Absolutely.
And I'm going to guess, did she pick out the suit for you for this, or did you pick it out?
Oh, she did for sure. She did. She colors, suit. She made all. I always say she makes. I make the big decisions. She makes the little decisions. There just hasn't been a big decision to make yet.
I love that.
Yeah, it was awesome.
And you had a chance to talk with Ga Wang, the man who is responsible for that suit game.
So I asked Ga, I said, listen, all the guys in South Bend want to know, how do you look like Marcus Freeman? And he said, and I quote, let me get you a personal trainer,
right.
Build your shoulders out a little bit, and maybe you're 50 or 60% of the way there. So I don't think it's going to happen.
Well, we are just minutes away from kickoff between Notre Dame and NC State right here on ABC57. Our game day predictions with Mike Golic when we come back.
The players of the game were on offense, Audric Estime.
Now I'm regretting my pick for Offensive Player of the Game. But let's get started,
Got you
shall we?
fired up.
Yeah,
the Irish
right.
are basically a one-touchdown favorite today over NC State. 7.5 points. The over-under was set at 50.5. Of course, we want to know Offensive Player of the Game. Who you got?
I'm going with Audric Estime. I mean, it's tough not to. Notre Dame loves to live on the ground, and he's the main guy on the ground, and especially if the weather's going to turn a little sloppy, just give that ball to the big bulldozer and let him go.
I definitely was taking a running back, but since Audric got it last week, I thought I'd mix it up. And Jeremiah Love, he's been really fun to watch, and he might have a big game today, but I think it's all about the running backs today.
Obviously, I went with the wide receiver, Jaden Thomas, in a rain game. I mean, why not? Let's mix it up. Jaden Thomas gets hot today.
All right, how about our defensive players of the game? I went with Javonte Jean-Baptiste because I love his name. No, I'm just kidding, and I do love his name, though. But because I just think they're going to try to put a lot of pressure on the quarterback. Someone's going to get after him. I think we could see at least a sack, hopefully two. And I think Baptiste, he's ready. He's due for a big game.
Listen, to go with a D lineman or linebacker may have been the smart thing to do. I went with Cam Hart, and the reason I did that, again, the weather's going to be a little iffy, but I think North Carolina State's going to have to throw themselves back into the game. And I think Cam Hart can come up with a big play, maybe get an interception help.
Well, if the linemen slip, I'm going that second level, Jack Kizer.
Yeah.
He's primed and ready to go. He's been tough to get past, and I think Jack Kizer is going to have a big game.
Now, final score predictions. I do want to mention that Todd Burlage was on. He's taking the Wolfpack today.
Yes, he is.
What do you have, Golic?
I'm not taking the Wolfpack. No shot of that. I'm going 35-17. Notre Dame gets a win, and I think it'll be bigger than that, and North Carolina State get a late score to make it 35-17. I think Notre Dame will get control of this game, their toughest test so far, but I think they pass it well.
I kind of like that range as well. As you see, I had 31-17, and I think Spencer Shrader gets his first field goal for the Irish today.
Levon, 38-20. You see 18-point win, and I'm going 30-14. Notre Dame doesn't go super crazy on the scoreboard, but they get it done, and they're 3-0.
So you're the only one with the under then, I think.
That's right.
We all had the over, if my math is correct.
Thank you guys for watching. Kickoff next, right here on ABC 57.